Hello friends, Kip T-Sword here with an episode of Chronicles of a Culture Changer from DT4EMS. And you know, whenever you have any system, it's really built on some great building blocks. And so basically what we're going to do here is talk about when it comes to the use of force and or self-defense in emergency medicine, let's talk about the blocks and the building blocks that are really required to make it a solid and a strong and powerful system. So when we talk about emergency medicine as a whole, realize that specifically we're talking about those that deal with emergent type of a situation. So we're talking about, the firefighter on an EMS scene, EMS staff, or ED department staff, because guess what? We all deal with those exact same people, and usually all of us deal with that same person within a short amount of time. So with that being said, that we're all discussing these folks here. Now, the first thing and most important thing that we all have to have in dealing with any type of use of force situation in emergency medicine is mental preparation. And so mental preparation for the violent encounter is as important as any physical skill you may possess. And it's going to be as important as understanding things like, am I really dealing with a patient, someone that I should consider and call a patient this whole time? And if I use any force, regardless of that force, is my force going to be seen as reasonable if it gets captured on camera? So now that we've got the mental prep portion, we now have to start talking about some street skills. Skills that work for defense, and that really are focused on escape if we're dealing with a violent encounter where we're being attacked. The next thing is, if it's captured on camera, how will my actions appear if they're caught on camera? So we have to think about how we deal with not only the mainstream media, but what are we going to do with social media? Because my goodness, if you've watched for very long, you've seen how these things are starting to play out and how they get to us, and actually how we're portrayed in the media. And we have to look at what's happening right now with our brethren and in law enforcement, and how no matter what's happening, the media can fuel and remind you that's mainstream and social media that we're talking about. And so do those things have a role now when it comes into the courts? And when you start thinking about the courts here, we're talking about the real legal courts and then those courts of public opinion. So when we're talking about all of these here, when we're saying, our folks in the ED staff, those in EMS and in fire, how's our mental prep? All those pieces that go into that. What about the physical skills, which is a lot of times what people focus on is just the street skills, but folks, there's so much more than that. And are we really doing things that are escape-minded and defensive in nature? Next is, how will any of those acts, if they're caught on camera, appear in the media, both social and mainstream? And then what's going to take place when we go to court? How is it going to look in the real court or the court of public opinion? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what makes DT4EMS different and unique, because all these pieces together are what create or what are part of our EVE system. DT4EMS, this is what we do. Everything else has been a copycat or a bit or a piece that's come after the fact. We are the culture changing system.